Hello, listeners. I have something special prepared for you today.
Something special?
Yeah. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, here it goes. Me. Oops, I did it again. Didn't check my input. Recorded on my headphones. Oh, Patrick, oops, it's trash audio. I really sound like crap. I'm not that tech savvy.
Wow. I can't believe you actually wrote a Weird Al parody of Britney Spears.
100%.
Oops, I did it again.
Yeah, I did this while Dave and I were cooking dinner, and I wrote it down, and I was laughing, and he was like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I can't tell you, it's secret." But he's in the other room, so I'm sure he heard it all.
Okay, but I do appreciate the effort on this. This is great. Now, to be clear, listeners,
Yes.
I did not force Sammy to do this. I was going to let this one slide because
But I couldn't do that.
Yeah, I caught a lot of flack from last episode how I gave Sammy such a hard time. and the audio wasn't that bad. Well, you wanted more, you got more.
The audio is better. So I think last time, I think you're right that it actually was my my computer like microphone.
Yeah, it was like the laptop mic.
Yeah, this time it definitely is my my headphones. So it is a little bit better.
And you can definitely tell that it's your headphone mic because your hair was down during the...
I know.
And it scrapes against the mic the whole podcast.
I know.
I thought it was like bracelets or a necklace or something. I'm like, what is that jangly necklace
that's
noise?
What it is.
Yeah,
well,
no, it's the pink hair. It's just good for people to understand what they're hearing because they're like, how much jewelry is this girl wearing during a podcast and why isn't it being talked about? But it's not jewelry. It's just your hair.
It's just my hair.
Flapping against the old wrong microphone.
Oh, boy.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
But we're happy to announce that the next episode is going to be completely clean audio. So episode 5, we're going to be back in the correct microphone inputs. Right, Sammy?
So yes. So I think we didn't notice it until episode 4. Like I think you listened to episode 4.
Yeah.
And said that to me like either right after we recorded or before we recorded the next time.
Mm-hmm.
So we were able to catch it from 5 on. So
yeah.
It's just this one. Unfortunately, you have to bear with us a little bit more. But you can still hear everything. You know, it's not... It's just a little distracting.
Yeah, it's not too bad. And not to pile on, but there is one correction for last week's episode. So in episode 3... Speaking of songs, we got to stop singing in our show.
I think it's great.
And actually
we can have a whole singing like, outtakes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we certainly already have a bunch of those that I've already cut out. And in this episode, you're going to hear like 3 or 4 really bad singing. So,
well, I think it's awesome that you finally sang a little bit because usually it's me. And I mean, like,
Yeah, I cut out the majority of it.
I like that it's a little even.
Yeah. So, the correction is one listener pointed out to me that you said in the last episode, you said the song was Annie's Got a Gun.
Yeah, it's not.
No, it's not. That's incorrect. It's actually Janie's Got a Gun by
I
Aerosmith.
know that too.
I know that too. I should have caught it.
Song.
Yeah. Okay. So. Well, we got that out of the way. We apologize for the, slightly bad audio, but it's not as bad as last week. So we're going to be back in the habit next week with very good audio.
Yes.
Best audio.
We do check every time. We just...
Yeah, this was back in the day. This was before we even launched the podcast. This is like over the summer at some point. I mean, we've been recording these for a while before we launched. So it's almost worth the trash audio just for you to have to come up with parody songs.
No, I don't want to do any more. I don't think anybody wants to hear my trash audio or my parody songs.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. Okay. Well, there you have. Well, this is a silly, silly episode. I think we were both.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on. There's something in the air or the water or is a full moon or something, but we are extremely silly.
Or my Sauvignon Blanc, but you were silly
Blanc.
Too.
Yeah, and I was sober.
Yeah.
I had no Sauvignon Blanc.
No, so I don't know. I think it was just because we hadn't recorded in a while. No, we
Maybe.
did. We had recorded the week before. It was the previous episode that the storm kept us from recording.
Yeah, and this was a long recording. I had to edit this down from like 3 and something hours. So
we got a lot of good outtakes.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that hit the floor.
All right.
Enjoy this very silly episode of Kicking and Streaming.
Yes, have fun and do good things.
Yes, I agree.
I didn't think there'd be vampires on campus.
We must have been at about 40,000 feet when it happened.
What was that?
You are the Slayer. One girl in all the world.
Did anybody see that?
Yeah.
Guess what? I feel better.
Guys, where are we?
Hello, Patrick, my old friend.
Hello, Sammy, my old friend.
I've come to podcast with you again. Don't know where to go from there. But
Okay,
that
great.
Was great.
Flawless open.
I'm so glad we did that. That's something that Dave and I do all the time. We just make
great.
up
He's
random
gonna
lyrics.
love them encroaching on your bits together.
No, because it's something my dad always did too.
Oh, okay.
So you're just like both of them.
I'm like your dad and your now current
Fiancé.
husband.
No, not yet.
Oh, I thought it was official. I thought that's what we talked about last
No,
weekend.
in 2 weeks.
Oh.
Oh, I picked up my marriage license,
Yeah.
but it's not official. It's not signed by, we haven't been,
Well, close enough.
our JP hasn't done the thing, like,
Well,
by the power vested in me, blah, blah, blah.
yeah, but really,
And he hasn't signed it and sent it back.
That's
so.
all pomp and circumstance. You got the paperwork, right? It's all
Yeah. But it's not legal. It's not
signed,
valid.
sealed, delivered. It's yours.
But it hasn't been delivered
We're very musical today.
or sealed
Okay.
or signed by our JP.
Okay.
So
You know what? You're punching a lot of holes.
I'm
in
really
my
sorry. I
license
know
agreement.
that's my thing that I do to you.
Yeah, you're very good at punching holes. What's up? How are you?
I'm pretty good.
Yeah?
I'm going to be married in exactly 2 weeks from today. Although by the time this airs, I probably will be married. So I guess maybe you're right.
Yeah. Hey, what are you drinking?
Tonight I am drinking a Sauvignon Blanc. It's a little sheep of New Zealand. It's got tiny little, look at those cute little drawings of
those
sheeps.
are adorable.
Little
You
baby
totally
sheeps.
bought that based on the label.
100%.
I mean,
That's how I buy
how
most of
else
my
do you
wine.
buy wine? You can't taste it. You can't taste it in
know
the store.
anything about wine.
Yeah, nobody
I'm
knows.
like, is it less than $15 and does it have a cool label?
Right.
Yes.
Usually
I'm
I'll
in.
look at like where it's from.
Well, I think most Sauvignon Blancs are from New Zealand.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know if that's just where the grapes are that make this kind of wine.
It's probably got something to do with the winds, the southerly
Yeah.
winds
Or the
that
sheep
are coming off of
that are
Hoppeton.
walking around and pooping on the vineyards.
I want to go to New Zealand so bad.
Me too.
I'm like hardcore into New Zealand.
100% me too.
Yeah.
Let's go. Oh my God. We should let's take this podcast on tour.
Okay.
And let's do a show in New Zealand.
Okay. Live show when we get big
Yeah.
enough to
Yeah.
get like at least 100, New Zealanders who want to listen to us.
Yeah.
Yabber on like this.
Yeah.
Talk about wine.
I mean, we can go to a wine tasting, taste all the Sauvignon Blancs.
Sauvignon Blanc.
Oh, hey, this is the Kicking and Streaming podcast.
Yeah, welcome everyone to Kicking and Streaming, episode 4, where we will be talking about Buffy the Vampire Slayer, episode 4. What's the name of the episode?
Of season 1. It's called Teacher's Pet.
Teacher's
Not
Pet?
the Teacher's Pet.
I
Just
actually
Teacher's Pet.
think it's the Teacher's Pet. The Teacher's Pet.
No. It's actually Teacher's the Pet.
No, it's actually Pet the Teacher. Which totally works for this.
It does kind of work.
Yeah. Okay. And
it's just
also Lost, season 1, episode 4, which was titled Walkabout.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, welcome. Should we jump
Welcome.
right in? Do we have anything
Yeah,
else
let's
to say?
jump right in. Let's jump in.
into Buffy.
Season 1, Episode 4, Teacher's Pet, original air date March 24th, 1997. Oh. It was written by David Greenwalt, who was a co-executive producer on Buffy until the 3rd season, when he was promoted to executive producer and then left for reasons might get into later.
Oh, really?
And then the episode was directed by Bruce Seth Green, not Seth Green.
Not the Seth Green. Not to be confused with
the Seth Green.
Right.
But Bruce Seth Green, who directed eight episodes between seasons 1 and 2. So let's just recap your prediction from last episode.
Okay.
So actually, before we get into what you said last episode, your longer term prediction from episode 1 was that the Master is going to somehow get stronger, most likely pulling some reinforcements out of his blood well.
Yes.
I'm just going to keep bringing that up because it's great.
Well, it's totally going to happen too. I don't see how it doesn't.
So we got to keep talking about it until it does.
Right.
And he's going to build up some kind of army. And you predicted that probably Buffy will battle him in the season finale.
Yep.
So last episode, you said that it's probably not going to be a Monster of the Week because fans would get upset. You'd upset the fans of the Big Bad. You've got to give them, quote, a morsel of candy of the Big Bad. And you also said that Darla's going to come back. And you thought Amy's mom will come back at some point, bust out of the trophy, maybe meet up with the Master, have a love affair, and make some kind of vampire witch baby.
Okay. I stand by most of those except for the Monster of the Week episode because that happened directly again in episode 4. Another Monster of the Week episode.
So instead of talking about the Big Bad, we had a Bug Bad. Oh yeah, I've been waiting to say that one. And that morsel of candy, his name is Angel, and he did actually. Well, I don't think he mentioned technically the Master, but he talked about a claw thing, and Giles found a reference to a vampire that pissed off the Master, who cut off his arm and then had some kind of claw. So he was like, maybe the Master found this guy. So we didn't actually see the Master at all, but there was reference made to him.
Right.
So let's talk about the plot of the episode. We start with a dream sequence of...
Which I knew it was a dream sequence immediately because Xander was being way too cool.
Way too cool.
Yeah.
He's not that cool. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Maybe, but not yet.
Maybe by the end he'll have some sort of arc.
Maybe. It's going to have to be a real big arc.
Oh, poor Xander.
Oh, Xander. So dream sequence, Buffy is fighting a vampire. Then Xander swoops in to save her and still has time to finish his sick guitar solo.
That was the best because he even tells her what he's going to do.
Yeah, it's the best.
He's like, I'm going to go finish my solo and then I'm going to kiss you like I never kissed anyone before. And then he actually does go do a solo, which is pretty awesome.
And then Buffy wakes him up in science class because he's drooling.
And I love how in the 90s this was like the apex of cool. It was like being on stage in the spotlight, riffing hard rock guitar, and then getting the hot chick from class. That was the apex of coolness.
I mean, is it not still the apex of coolness?
I don't think so. I don't think so anymore. I feel like if you did that now, you would be canceled. You'd be the enemy.
Like on TV or
no, just in real life
IRL.
Too. IRL. I think if you're trying to be too cool, you're not cool. So if you're on stage with a guitar riffing it out, like it's cool, but it's got to be understated. You can't be the front man anymore. You got to be like the mysterious guitar player. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, for sure.
I totally get what the kids are doing. I got my finger on the pulse.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Talking out my ass here.
Okay, so maybe that's not cool anymore. I don't know.
I just thought, I have a thing for guys who play guitars, so...
Of course you do.
You know, I did in high school, still do now, so, you know, whatever.
Does Dave play a guitar?
You know, occasionally he does. It's not often enough.
Well,
I wish it were more often.
You gotta,
it's like very
you gotta tell
rare.
him to start practicing more.
I do have to tell him that. I should. If we had signed a prenup, then I would have stipulations about how often he had to play guitar for me, serenade me.
Right.
He'd probably be like, "You need to clean up your fucking flower petals and leaves that you leave all over the house."
Right then into the prenup. The lawyer would be like, "This is getting very passive aggressive, you two."
Okay, so anyway, Buffy muddles through answering some questions from her teacher in science class with some help from Buffy. She's not prepared. She wasn't sleeping, but she may as well have been.
Yeah. Her mind was elsewhere.
But afterwards, the teacher pulls her aside after class and is just like, you know what? You know, basically, like, he says that he's got faith in her. She can do well because, you know, she is smart and quick-witted. So, and she's like, I'm sorry. He says, don't be sorry, be smart. And he tells her not to listen to negative judgment from others. Let's make them eat that permanent record, he says.
Yeah.
So I like this guy.
I like this too. Dr. Gregory was a stand-up dude before his head got chopped off by the Mantis girl.
Spoilers.
Well, they already saw the episode.
There yet.
Hopefully.
We haven't gotten there yet.
Okay. But yeah, what I was going to say about Dr. Gregory, super cool guy. At first you're like, you know, what's his deal? Is he being mean to her? But then like you're like, oh no, he actually like cares. He's one of those teachers that actually care.
Yeah,
and
everybody
like,
needs that kind of teacher.
They're so... I don't want to speak out of turn now because I haven't been in school for a while. But in my schooling experience...
In your day?
In my day, way back when, in the 90s, right around these days, okay?
Yeah.
My teachers, I would say these kind of teachers who actually cared about their students, very few and far in between. Mm-hmm. I had a couple teachers like this who actually like cared about their students and like doing well. So 8th grade, I was a bad student. I was going through a lot of stuff. Yeah. I found skateboarding and I was in a new town.
Oh, no. You found skateboarding?
Well, I mean, I had found it many years before, but I really got into it and I was trying to...
That's like finding witchcraft, Patrick.
I had a teacher in 8th grade who pulled me aside.
Who was like
Patrick,
Dr.
Gregory.
You stop doing your skateboarding and you work on your science.
I'm pretty sure I also had a teacher say those exact words verbatim, but I did have a teacher pull me aside and was like, hey, I know you're a smart kid and I feel like you could actually do this work if you applied yourself. So I want to see for the next test, like I actually want you to study and I think you're going to do good. And
that's awesome.
Guess what happened?
I
studied.
Good.
I got a 98 on the next test.
You just needed someone to believe in you.
I just needed someone to believe in me.
So yeah. Dr. Gregory is awesome, so of course he eats it. Hashtag thanks, Hellmouth. Mm-hmm. Now we're at the bronze. Xander smiles at the lead singer who gives Xander the stink eye. So there's a perfect example of the asshole.
Right.
Like,
but first,
front man.
Let's remember that...
Sorry, did I say guitar player? I meant lead singer.
Wasn't he playing guitar as well? I think he's playing guitar as well.
Okay.
So
he's a front man.
Xander walks up to the stage and he gives him the sup nod, you know, just the quick sup. That was huge in the 90s, and when he did that, it's like, oh yeah, I remember that. That was a thing. Everywhere you went, it was the sup nod.
Sup.
Yeah, like walk through the halls in 7th grade. It was like everybody was sup nodding to everyone, like sup, 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 sup. Just one nod to all your friends. What's up, sup, sup, sup. That kind of died away in the 2000s.
Yeah,
and you know what? I'm kind of glad it did because I don't miss the sup nod.
So he sup nods the lead singer.
And the lead singer gave him like...
He's like, who do you think you are, Dick?
But also, why are you sup nodding the lead singer?
I don't know. I mean, like, it's a small... Like, it's not like Sunnydale's a huge town. This is like a small...
Do you think they're friends?
Kind of.
Probably not.
No, but it's like a small venue, so it's clearly like huge bands are probably not playing there. It's probably mostly smaller, like local bands. So
sure, but I
think it's cool to give people.
I would never nod anybody who's doing their music. But what if you throw him off? What if he is like, and he like screws up his song or something? I'd feel terrible.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's
so
a good
Xander, I'm sorry, I'm with the band leader, and I'd be like, what are you doing?
I don't think he had to be so aggressively mean with his stink eye that he gave Xander.
But he's in the zone. He
could have just ignored him.
He's an artist. He's in the zone.
Yeah, but he came out of the zone enough to be like, like make this face.
You got to put a lot of passion into your music sometimes, and if you're getting nodded by some weirdo in the front row, too much passion into
that mean face he made at Xander.
Okay.
All right. Some guys are talking about scoring. And question Xander's manhood.
This is a big thing in this episode. Scoring and virginity and losing your virginity. And
how Xander's like being emasculated and not cool, not manly enough. They're questioning Xander's manhood. Willow and Buffy kind of come to his rescue. Sort of. Not really. Kind of unwillingly. Well, actually Willow like plays into it. But anyway, and then Angel shows up. Buffy leaves Xander to feel less than. He's comparing himself to Angel. He goes, he's a very attractive man, which I love. Angel gives Buffy his jacket, and she notices a giant fork-like gash, not like, more like a barbecue fork, like huge gash on his arm. And he gives her some kind of cryptic message, which she said he probably would. That's exactly what he was going to do. And then he does. And then he leaves, as is his MO.
Yeah, he says something like, something's coming or something.
Yeah.
Like
she was like, cool, thanks, dude.
Right. Thanks, dude.
We're on
Thanks
the
for the
fucking Hellmouth.
jacket.
Of course something's coming.
Right. The Hellmouth. You said
it.
So the teacher...
so then...
Dr. Gregory
is missing.
Well,
we don't know.
We see him get attacked, though.
We see something come after him.
Right, some sort of...
We don't actually see what happens.
Manti claw.
Yeah, Manticlaw.
Manticlaw.
And then, so Xander discovers Dr. Gregory's missing. He relays this information onto the girls. A super hot lady shows up and asks him where Signs 109 is.
Right, and she shows up in slow-mo.
Yep.
Super hot teacher, pouty lips, smiling, mini skirt, the whole deal.
Yep. Big eyes.
Could you help me? And she has a bit of an accent. Now, I was trying to place her accent, and it sounded... At first, I was like, that's British. But then I was like, no, that's Irish. And then I was like, maybe it's Scottish. And I couldn't figure it out. Do you have a take on it?
I have no idea.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Irish. I think that's my final answer.
It's not a strong accent. So I can see why you were having difficulty placing it.
Yeah,
so I think that's probably why I didn't think about it too much, because it wasn't like a super strong accent.
Right.
But
Blaine slides in.
Well, it's great because Xander's like struggling, and he just kind of like looks over by Willow and Buffy, and they're just like sitting real smug like on the bench looking at him, which I fucking love. And Blaine shows up, who was one of the kids who was questioning Xander's manhood at the Bronze.
Right.
And so he's like, oh yeah, I'll show you where it is. It's right near... Oh, I flipped my hair to emphasize, and I lost my head.
For dramatic effect.
Yeah, he's like, oh, it's right near like where I want Allstate, or whatever he says, something like that. Some stupid jock
totally
thing.
added the at the end.
Yeah. And then Xander, they walk away, and Xander says, it's funny how the earth never opens up and swallows you when you want it to.
Right.
Which is such a high school feeling.
Because, we've all had those moments.
Yeah. So then we, cut to class. Super hot lady is Natalie French, who is substituting for Dr. Gregory.
Yes.
She gives a lecture on praying mantises. Praying manti?
Sure.
Mantises?
I said manti earlier in the program, so let's go with it.
Let's go with manti. I don't think that's right. I think it actually is mantises, but I like manti better.
Me too.
And she shares that the women are often larger and more aggressive than males, and asks who wants to help her after class to create a model egg sac.
And of course, all the men raise their hand because they want to be after school with Mrs. French.
They want to get in that egg sac business.
Yeah, not me. I'm all set.
Yeah. not into bug situations. So Blake messes with Xander again in the cafeteria and is like, oh, my like one-on-one with hers today, and oh, when's yours tomorrow? Ugh. Whatever.
Right.
That's how Blake sounds to me.
Yep.
Anyway, and then Cordelia breezes into the cafeteria for her special doctor-prescribed meal.
Yeah,
she
what
goes
was
into
that
the
all about?
refrigerator. I mean, it's fucking Cordelia. Who knows?
It's because she has to, by doctor's orders, has to say extremely thin and model-like.
Well, it's probably just that she is too good to eat the cafeteria food.
I see. So it's kind of like...
She went to her doctor and was like, please get me out of this,
right.
and like prescribe me
Write me
special
a
meals.
note. Yeah, write me a note saying I can bring my own meals.
Yeah, fucking bring your own meals. Like, who cares?
Right.
People have lunch boxes.
Brown bag it like Willow
brown bag
does.
it. But Cordelia doesn't brown bag it.
No, why would she?
She's
She
never
can't be
gonna do
seen
that.
dead with a brown bag in her hand.
No.
Yeah.
Please. Unless it's Prada.
Right. So she finds Dr. Gregory in the freezer rather than her lunch.
So, you know.
Do you think when Mrs. French stuffed Dr. Gregory without a head in the freezer, she saw the lunch and was like,
wait a minute. We don't know it's Mrs. French.
I'll
Natalie
help
French?
myself to this. Yeah, but at this point when I was watching it, I was like, it's totally Mrs. French.
She's not Mrs.
Ms. French.
Yeah.
The Miss French.
Oh, God. What did you ask before I so rudely corrected you?
Do you think that when she shoved Dr. Gregory into the freezer without a head, she saw Cordelia's prescribed lunch and was like, yummy, yummy. I will also eat. After this head, I will have this vegan lunch.
I think only if it had bugs in it.
I don't think Cordelia's eating
Which
bugs.
I doubt. Probably not. I mean, if she does, it's like deconstructed and she doesn't know that it's bugs. Like, what's that stuff that's people?
Soylent Green?
Yeah, Soylent Green. Yeah.
Yeah.
We like Dr. Gregory, so this is sad.
This is sad.
I mean, we kind of knew what was going to happen because he went missing and they live on Hellmouth, but it was sad anyway.
Yeah.
So Giles, Buffy, and the Slayerettes ponder what happened to him and wonder if Fork Guy / Silverware Man, which is what Xander calls him, is behind this and Angel's arm, plus a bum who was shredded up real good in Weatherly Park.
Right.
And maybe this Fork Guy Silverware Man who's causing all this mayhem is the guy that Giles discovered pissed off the Master at one point and therefore might be coming back to work for the Master.
Right. This scene sort of explained to me because my question was how are we getting monsters and vampires and like everything happening? And because we're on the Hellmouth and Buffy says it's a center of mystical convergence. Or no, Giles says that. Right?
I think
or
Buffy says it this time, but Giles does say that in like episode 1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. I knew that.
Because he's
I remember.
What is the thing that he says? Incubi, werewolves, something, incubi, succubi, and he's like piling all these books onto Buffy's arms. Yeah, it's a center of magical, mystical convergence, whatever.
Right.
So yeah, but I think it's Buffy who says it this time in a very Giles way.
Oh, very Giles way. What I noticed watching this scene was, and this is my bad, but whenever I watch a movie or a show and there's a exposition heavy scene like this where there's just a bunch of talking, I tend to daydream and tune out really quickly. I had to keep rewinding a bunch of times and be like, what are they saying? Because I had to take notes. And I was like, this is what happens to me all the time when I watch shows and movies because I start daydreaming and thinking of other things because it's not keeping my attention, i.e. why I love action movies so much because it keeps my attention. And I always have to have Amy like reiterate what happened.
Yeah.
Or we'll get 2 scenes later and I'll go, wait, why is she doing that? And then Amy will be like, she'll pause the thing. Yeah, she'll pause it and she'll be very upset and be like, they just talked about it 2 scenes ago. And I'll be like, oh, right. I was thinking about something else then.
It's funny that you say that because I was reading something about how most of the cast, their least favorite scenes were in the library because they knew it was going to be a lot of exposition.
Right. And I'm sure that's hard to remember, too. Like, all the mystical convergence stuff. Like, a lot of this is mouthfuls of craziness. And it's, like, hard to understand and wrap your brain around. So I'm sure it's hard to remember and spill back out.
Yeah. So then, Giles is like, don't do anything crazy. And Buffy's like, I won't, cross my heart. And then, of course, next scene is her running to Weatherly Park, which was where the bum homeless person was
Don't call
shredded.
them bums.
Is that not kosher?
I don't think so anymore. I think you have to call them homeless.
Okay. So we're not going to call people bums anymore. It's not okay.
Nope.
Homeless person.
Right. And he shows up to Buffy and he's like, hey, you shouldn't be out at night, little lady. It's dangerous.
It's not him.
Oh, it's not?
He was shredded up.
Oh, but wasn't this another homeless person?
Yeah, so there's another homeless person who shows up. Well, he's a creepy drunk guy. We don't know if he's homeless. Let's not make the assumption.
Yeah, he's homeless.
But there is a homeless guy sleeping on a bench.
Yeah.
And so she runs into all of these people, and then Silverware Man. Right. And he's a scary vampire with like Wolverine-style claws.
Long hair.
And guess what, Pat?
What?
We finally see some police action.
Yes, that's right. This is the first glimpse of some actual
of Sunnydale
police
PD.
authority.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I'm like, too little, too late, Yeah,
Yep.
what?
Well,
you got to come to the
Buffy's
park,
like,
but not the high school?
Guess so.
Yeah.
So Silverware Man takes off and he tries to scare Natalie French, who just looks at him.
He scampers.
He's like a little scamp.
Yeah, like a little scamp. He's just like...
Then we see Natalie French, who is, in fact, has a brown bag with groceries in it.
Right. Which definitely has bugs in it. And then he hisses at her like a scared cat. He's like...
Yeah, well, because she just looks at him, and then he hisses like out of fear and runs away.
Because he knew something was up. He knew that she was like...
He knew some shit was happening.
Bug lady
He
or
knew
something.
she got some bugs in there.
Right.
And he's like, I ain't trying to mess with no bug lady.
Yeah, he's like, no thank you, buckaroo.
So next day, Buffy relays what happened because she sees this happen. She relays all of it to Giles and then runs into Principal Flutie, who insists she see a counselor. Everyone must see a counselor. So
what was that?
Well, here's kind of like, so you had sort of talked about this before as well, not necessarily just the police interaction when like bad things are happening at Sunnydale High, but also just like you were kind of like, nobody is going to talk about the fact that there was like a dead guy in the locker and nobody has to like seek some help. So this is kind of the first time you're seeing that, where Principal Flutie is like, if you saw the body or you were there, like you need to see a counselor. Everybody needs to talk to a counselor. So this is kind of the first time we're really seeing the reality of what would probably happen in a high school.
Do you think it's a new initiative by the high school and the principal, or do you think this is something that's been around for a little while? Because to me, it felt like a new initiative. Like they've been under fire because some kids have been like messed up in their schools, and now they're like, all right, we got to start doing something. Let's pump up the counseling.
Maybe. I mean, it didn't feel to me like, it's not like Principal Flutie said, like, this is a new thing we're doing because of the guy that was dead in the locker and this, like, but he's so frantic.
Yeah, he was frantic. Like, he seemed so, like, amped up about it. So it didn't seem like it was just, like, run-of-the-mill, like, no, that's just protocol.
And he was like, if you need a hug, but not really, like, I can't hug you, like, inappropriate touching is not okay. Yeah. Like, we're like, what the hell? Like, he's clearly a spaz. Poor guy. He can...
Flutie.
Oh, Flutie.
Flutie. Remember, wasn't Doug Flutie a football player?
I don't know. I just thought of Doug Funny.
Because I think there was a... Hold on, let me look this up real quick. This is totally going to be worth the aside. Doug Flutie... Nope. Doug Flutie was a football quarterback for the NFL. Oh,
so not a swimming quarterback or hockey quarterback?
That's correct. It is a football quarterback.
Okay,
I know
good.
sports. He was 5'10", okay?
Yep.
And I think he was so big that he got his own cereal called Flutie Flakes.
Cool.
So whenever I hear Principal Flutie.
So like other athletes got
Flutie Flakes.
Put on Wheaties, but he got on Flutie Flakes. He got his own.
Yeah, he got his whole own thing, Flutie Flakes, which happens every once in a while. That was totally worth the aside.
So worth it.
Yeah. Okay, on with the show.
All right, let's keep going on. So Buffy sits outside the counselor and has to endure hearing Cordelia's session, which is just marvelous.
Yeah.
And so that makes Buffy late to science class. So in science class, Miss French is giving a pop quiz, and she leans over and helps Xander.
Yeah.
Very
breathy.
breathy.
Yeah.
And then Buffy like looks in and she's like, oh, like pop quiz. And then what happens, Patrick? Miss French turns her head around, clean around, Exorcist style, to look at Buffy.
She totally exercises her neck. She's
yes. And so
that was spooky and also not very well done, special effects wise. But I appreciate terrible. The visual though.
Yeah. So Buffy catches up with Willow probably after class. They're going to the library. She's telling Willow what happens. So Buffy is like, yeah, also like Blaine wasn't here after her private session with Miss French.
Right.
And tells this to Willow and Giles. And then she notes that some insects can, quote, full-on exorcist twist, is how she described it to Willow.
Yeah.
Their heads around, and she's like, I'm gonna figure out what's going on. And Giles goes, what are you gonna do? And she goes, my homework. Which is one of my favorite moments from this episode, I think. So Xander shows up for his private session with Miss French and reveals his middle name is Lavelle.
Right. I didn't catch that when I was watching it.
How did you not catch that?
I was probably taking notes or something.
Okay. And Miss French is like, oh, I forgot the supplies at home.
Right.
Do you want to come to my house tonight instead?
Right. From there, it goes to like this hilarious smash cut to Xander riffing on a guitar again. Yeah, because in his brain, that's the
90s.
coolest moment. Yeah. There we go.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, and then she eats bugs in her sandwich.
Yes, then he leaves and she eats bugs in her sandwich.
Yeah.
I
couldn't eat
I
bugs?
can't with that. No, fuck no.
Wow, so passionate about that.
Yeah.
And then I love how whenever the Slayerettes are back together again, and they're like talking in the library about what Miss French could be up to or anything.
Yep.
And somehow it always sort of drifts on to like her looks or something like that. And Giles is trying to hide the fact that
she's attractive.
She's very attractive. And he keeps slipping into that like, she is by and large woman-shaped.
But I also love, speaking of looks, how Buffy is like, her fashion sense screams Predator, and Willow's like, it's the shoulder pads.
Yeah, that was good.
Like, again, there's just so much fun, witty stuff. And so then Willow invades the coroner's office. So Buffy is basically like, I think she's a praying mantis. And Willow invades the coroner's office to get intel on Dr. Gregory's wounds to see if she was like, because Buffy was like, I think they were bite marks. And she was like, let's see if they match up with like what it would look like if a praying mantis had attacked him. Right. So Willow is hacking into the coroner's office to find this out, and Giles is like feigning ignorance, and he was just like, one would assume this is entirely legal, right? And they're like, and he's just like, wasn't here, didn't see it, couldn't have stopped you. Walks away, which is probably another one of my favorite moments from this episode. Just kind of him being like, you know what? We gotta fucking save the world, so if we need to do some illegal hacking every now and then, like, whatever. I'm just gonna pretend like I don't know about it.
I'll tell you, Giles is growing on me. Like episode 1, I was like,
loosening up.
Yeah, I was like, episode 1, I was like, that's a little heavy-handed, this guy, you know?
Yeah.
Like, he's like too stereotypical, like, British smart guy, right? He drives
the
the
tweed.
Peugeot tweed jacket, right?
Yeah.
As, like, his relationship with the Slayerettes evolves and he becomes, like, sort of part of the team, I think he's grown on me. I like the guy. Yeah.
Well, and because he is the Watcher, so it's his job to sort of like educate and coach and kind of be that like
mentor.
Yeah, mentor figure, but he's realizing that Willow is really an asset in using computers, which is a thing that he seems to disdain. So,
but it's helping out.
But it's helping
all
out
the time,
big time,
like every episode.
Yeah. So he's just like whatever, and he's definitely loosening up already.
Right.
Because in the first 2 episodes, he's very stuffy.
Yeah.
So anyway, Buffy catches up with Xander, tries to warn him that, she thinks that Miss French is a praying mantis.
And he's not having it because he's not thinking with his right head.
No, he's not. He thinks that Buffy is jealous that a woman has finally noticed him and is attracted to him and just storms off.
He wishes she was jealous.
Yeah. So then we cut to French mixing up some cocktails. We're in a sexy LBD.
She's got candles lit.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what's an LBD?
Little black dress.
Oh. Today I learned.
Yes,
TIL.
you did. And then she's like, oh, maybe I should change. And Xander's like, it's the most beautiful chest dress I've ever seen.
Oh, there's that witty writing.
Oh, come on, Xander. So, yeah, definitely turns it up to porn style here, coming on real strong to Xander.
Yeah, she's a very, very, very forward.
Mm-hmm.
Skimpy
Which, you know
outfits.
What? Not bad. Women can be okay to do that.
Yeah, but
that's okay.
Not when they're your teacher.
But not when they're your teacher. Not appropriate.
Yeah, not appropriate.
So she comes on real strong. Xander downs his martini. And he's like, I think I hear screaming.
Yeah.
And then he passes out.
French. Right. Well, she asks him, have you ever been with a woman?
Right.
And he's like, and he says a whole bunch of stuff.
Tons. And then she's like,
and then he finally ends up and he says, no.
Yeah. Right.
So he tells her the truth eventually. And she's like, I knew it. And you know what? I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And her arm turns into...
Bug arms.
Bug arm. And then he passes out and she drags him away.
Yeah, I like how he's like passing out as he notices her bug arms.
Yeah.
And like so it doesn't quite like stun him as though it would stun me, or I would think it would stun me. But if you're passing out and you're sort of like wavering in and out of consciousness and you see a beautiful woman with bug arms in front of you.
Yeah, it's like, okay, this is maybe just a byproduct of me passing out.
Yeah, because he's like, what was in that wine? And then he just passes right out. Mm-hmm. Or martini.
Yeah, he's like, oh, so this is a martini.
Yeah.
Which is like probably the first time he's drinking, maybe. So,
yeah, probably.
Like that's a valid response.
Yeah.
I feel like I definitely felt that way the first time I had drinks.
Had drinks?
Yeah, the first time I got drunk I was 16, and
oh my gosh.
I was...
You're so small, too. You were probably like 4'3" at that point.
I mean, I was probably at least like 4'10", okay?
4'10"?
4'3" is so small.
So is 4'10"?
I'm only 5'2" now, fully grown.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
So, I don't know, maybe I was 5 feet at that point. I don't know when I stopped growing. But
your brain probably started shutting down. You're like, what is this, a Bud Light?
Oh, you mean because I was drinking?
Yeah. Not because you were so short.
It's like, fuck you.
I can't operate. I'm too short. My brain does not operate correctly.
Anyway, my first experience was with my cousin. It was siblings weekend at her college, but she's an only child.
Oh,
and I was super close.
Is this going to get her in trouble?
No, I was super close with her mom. And she knows about it, her mom, my aunt. And she was basically like a mother figure to me. So So my cousin was sort of a sister-ish to me. So I had strawberry daiquiris was my first. They made them like in their dorm.
You had the Dax, the straw Dax?
Yeah, and it's great. I'm still into strawberry daiquiris. Ugh. Dave
Don't know
made
if
some
I've ever
recently.
had a daiquiri.
Oh man, they're so fucking refreshing.
I should try it. What kind of alcohol
Rum.
you put in a Dax? Oh,
Yeah, you want to
rum?
do like white rum.
Oh, I love rum. I'm a big
Me
rum guy.
too.
Although I have not had a drink in a very long time at this point.
Well, you should do what I do and drink every time we record.
I know. I get jealous every time I
Getting
see you
sauced
drink.
with Sammy.
I know. I do want to get sauced, but I also got to keep me wits about me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just get wittier, I think.
I don't.
Anyway, so
Xander gets pulled into a bug dungeon.
bug dungeon. I like that. Oh,
Yeah.
that sounds so bad. Ugh.
I mean,
That's
it was bad.
That was my dad's basement.
Right.
Bug
with a millipede? Centipede? Millipede?
Centipede.
Centipede. Yeah.
Can't.
Ugh.
That's where I lived in high school.
Yeah.
Can't do that. Can't do it. Anyway,
Can't do it.
That's why I just can't do bug things. But anyway,
Right.
So he wakes up in a cage in a bug dungeon to find French. Miss French is in full insect mode.
This is another one of these really effective dark scenes that this show seems to do really well because you can see that this bug outfit or whatever it is, it's very clearly just an outfit that they threw over a person. So
Fun fact,
yes.
the praying mantis puppet
Yeah.
is
it's a puppet.
actually a reuse of the Na-Grath prop from the first season of Babylon 5 in 1993, which
wow.
used the same makeup company. And the woman who plays Natalie French, Musetta
Yes.
Vander,
Yes.
is also guest starred in Babylon 5.
In Babs 5. Wow.
Fun fact for you.
That is a fun fact.
Yeah.
But the cinematography of the whole scene is super dark. It's very hard to see, but extremely effective for this because if you give this scene too much light, you will see too much and it will be so lame.
Yeah.
It'll be so bad. But they give you just the right amount of light in these scenes and it
Yes.
totally works.
Yes.
Very effective.
I agree. I was watching this. This might be TMI. I don't know.
Okay.
I was watching this in the tub.
And a bug.
Oh, God, no. Don't do that to me. I'll never be able to take a bath again. But I kept like trying to brighten my screen because I was like, it's so fucking dark.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like it does.
You
need to
are
be
just
dark.
living the life, watching
living
Buffy
the
the
life.
Vampire Slayer while taking a tub.
Taking
My
a tub.
goodness. Taking a tub. You take one.
Yeah,
You take it.
Taking a soak. So then we cut to Giles, who's talking to an insect mythology guy who was put in a loony bin. But he turns out he was right about one thing. There is a she-mantis who assumes the form of a beautiful woman and lures virgins back to her nest to breed. Giles relays this information to Buffy and Willow and is like, you gotta slice up her body parts. So Buffy tells Giles to find bat sonar, which will make Bat Lady
Freeze
Miss
up.
French's nervous system, quote, go kaplooey.
Right.
Back at the Bug Ranch, Miss French is choosing who to mate with.
Bug Ranch. Right.
She's trying to
Bug
decide who
dungeon.
to mate with.
Yeah.
Then Buffy, Willow, and Giles show up at French's house, but surprise, a sweet old lady answers the door.
This
And
I
she's
love
like,
this scene.
yes, I'm Natalie French. And they're
Yeah.
like, fuck.
And she's so nice.
She's so nice.
Yeah.
They're like, bitch, we looking for an old bug.
I don't know
And
if that's
she's like,
exactly what they say.
No, it's not what they say. It's just my summary of the situation. So it looks like She-Mantis stole this woman's identity. Xander tries to...
And it's so funny, too, because at a certain point, it's like, she stole her identity. And she goes, no, dear, I'm right here.
I'm right here.
Yeah.
I know, such a sweet,
So
dear
nice.
old lady.
Yeah.
So Xander, but the She-Mantis / Miss French, fake French, chose Xander to mate with, and he tries to fight her. And then Buffy jumps in a sewer, and they're like, Giles and Willow are like,
Wait, real quick.
Yeah.
So they're explaining, they sort of do a flashback scene of when
Mm-hmm.
Miss French is teaching the class, right? And she says, the California mantis lays her eggs and the male fertilizes them. And then I said, huh? So how does that work with Xander? What is she trying to get Xander to do in this scene? Because it doesn't seem like it's full-on copulation with a bug.
Well, Blake also said that she sort of like...
Blaine?
Blaine, thank you. Does this like weird shaky thing, and then she
shoots out a bunch of eggs.
Shoots out a bunch of eggs, and then mates with the guy. So I don't know. We don't need to talk about how things.
Okay, I was just curious.
Where
I didn't know
things
how it worked.
go, what goes where, who ejaculates on who,
the
or
birds
what.
and the bugs.
Who's gross? We just don't need to imagine that. I mean, we can
I was
talk
just trying
about
to figure it out
want.
logically and logistically, but
yeah, I'm not. I'm just
Okay.
like, I don't want to think about
it's
this.
just one of those details we just got to leave out.
Just gotta leave that out.
Just got to move on.
Yeah,
Because you know what? We don't want to look at it.
we don't want to look at it too long. So then Buffy jumps in the sewer and she gets Claw Guy, Silverware Man, so that he can help her find the she-mantis's house. Because she's like...
That part was funny.
Yeah, she's like, oh, you're afraid of this bitch. Let me find this guy.
Yeah, she's like, I know you saw where she lives. Let's go. And he's like, okay.
It's so great. You know, but Slayer's got to improvise.
Right.
Which she does because then he tries to, like, they find her house. Then, of course, he tries to attack her. And she uses a fence post to stake him. So...
Right.
Buffy jumps through a window into the bug dungeon and sprays like bug
repellent?
repellent poison.
Yeah,
Because like bug repellent is bug spray, like they use spray on your body.
That's true. I guess it isn't repellent. It's
what's
like
the stuff they use spray?
bug poison.
Yeah,
Bug
poison.
spray. Like Raid.
I wrote bug killer on her.
Yeah, that
I'm like,
makes sense.
what is that stuff?
Bug killer.
Bug killer.
Yeah.
She tries to play the sonar, but it ends up playing a recording of Giles' notes. Which is
like,
great. He's like, wrong side
Chapter
of the
4.
tape.
Yeah. So was it Giles who screwed it up? Did he put the tape in backwards, or did Buffy put it in backwards?
We don't know who put it in.
Okay, we don't know.
The wrong side.
Who do you
But
think
Giles
did it?
was like, that's the wrong side.
Yeah.
So back in the day, we should probably explain to our listeners who don't know what a
true.
tape is.
Yeah. Back in the day.
This is like a little recording device before we
Yes.
had CDs and before we could record things on our phone and digital devices.
Picture an SD card that had this moving, gross tape in it that could only be recorded on for about 60 minutes. And if it got too hot, then it would stretch and all your music would go.
And you could have two sides, though, because there's two sides to the tape.
To the tape, yep.
So you could flip it over. So in this case, Giles had recorded some notes on one side, and on the other side, there was sonar.
Right.
So Giles ends up getting the tape recorder and flips the tape, plays the sonar.
And she goes kablooey.
And she's like, wah! It's like, her nervous system's going crazy. And Buffy fucking machetes that bitch up. I just love that she has this machete, and it's like, whew.
Yeah. Big action scene ends.
Big action scene ends. Willow is like, I think it's really great that you're virgins, waiting and doing the right thing. And,
right. And Blaine's like, don't tell anybody about it.
My dad's a lawyer and I'll sue you if you do.
It's like, Blaine, come on,
That
man.
can't hold up in court, you dick. And then Xander hacks up the egg sack.
Right.
Then we go to the bronze. Angel shows up. Kind of like, she's like, oh, here's your jacket back, Angel.
And he's like, you know what? Keep it. You look good in it.
You.
Yeah. And
It's
she
like
just
this
goes,
whole thing. She goes,
boy.
Oh boy, because she knows she in trouble.
Well, because she got it bad for Angel.
She got it bad. She's also like, it would be nice if I could get a hold of you or something. And he's just like, doesn't really respond.
Yeah,
to
no,
that.
he's mysterious.
He's
He
just
knows
like,
how to play that
That's not how I roll, baby. And then he just goes off.
I don't
into
know
the
if
dark.
that's what he said, but he was like,
That's what he was thinking. That's what she heard.
no, what he was thinking was, watch how mysterious I'm going to be. Check this out.
Whoa, and then he's gone.
Yeah, he just walks away.
Yeah, and you're like, oh my god.
And he's wearing the white tank top That's what he's wearing? Oh no,
Yeah.
that's in the beginning of the movie or the show.
Yeah.
So at the end of the bronze scene,
Yep.
she says, "Oh boy," because she's got a bad for Angel.
She got a bad.
We cut back to a new teacher who's replaced Miss French
Yep.
and previously thereof Dr.
Gregory.
And he seems to be kind of a bore.
Yep.
And then, bum, 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 the end of the scene, we boom down below the floor, and we see... Is it
I
floor?
think it's a closet.
A closet,
Because
okay.
he, like, goes to put something in the closet. And it's, in the back of the closet.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
And we see eggs hatching.
Egg sack.
Egg sack hatching.
Egg sack. Baby egg sack. That's where it's at. Egg sack.
Exactly. They should have ended it with that musical sting.
I'm going to just give Joss a call. Let him know.
Yeah. Can you remaster that for the Blu-rays and add in this song? Mm-hmm. Exact. It's egg. Anyways, give me a call back, Joss.
Give me a call back.
It's on his voicemail.
Voicemail 347 from Sami.
She's like, God, can we change our number? She calls every day.
Oh God!
Oh, and I noticed that when the Buffy theme came on, and all the credits were rolling, I noticed the name of the band who does the Buffy theme. Do you know the name of the band?
Nerf Herder.
Nerf Herder. Do you know what that is a reference to?
Oh, isn't it a Star Trek?
Star Wars. God damn it!
Star Wars. I know.
Why
It's
am
one
I
or the
setting
other.
setting myself up for disappointment with you?
Here, go see a Star
Wars.
Fucking love Arrested Development.
All right, let's get into Lost.
Let's get into Lost. So, my prediction, let's replay my prediction.
Yes.
Where I decided that, okay, I'm not on the dog being a demon anymore. Mm-hmm. But I'm kind of with Hurley that it's some kind of dinosaur creature.
Okay.
And then I said that I think we were going to see Locke's backstory or some kind of flashback from him because we ended with looking at him.
And you were very right about that.
And I was right about that. But I also said that he whittles bodies. So I was not
quite right about that yet. There's still time.
But longer term, I also said that I think Kate is some sort of femme fatale who murdered someone, probably a man who probably deserved it. I still think that's true, but we don't see that in this episode.
Okay.
So, look who figured it out. We start with Locke's perspective, just as I predicted. Boom.
Great job.
Thank you. I just want to be appreciated.
I appreciate that because that I had never figured that out. Cheers to you.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, Charlie. So we start with a flashback in this episode of John Locke laying on the beach, wiggling his toes, as all the chaos of the plane crash sort of unfolds all around him. So this is sort of flashing back to the first episode. Mm-hmm. Then, boom, we're back in present day. Walt's dog Vincent is barking up a storm. It's nighttime, and there's a bunch of crashing noises, and everyone's sort of waking up. Jack, the genius, thinks it's Sawyer. He's like, where's Sawyer? Because he thinks he's in the plane crashing around or something. Mm-hmm. And then Sawyer's like, right behind you, jackass. Right. Which I thought was funny because his name's Jack.
Oh.
They get closer. They grab a bunch of flashlights. The whole group sort of gets closer to see who's rummaging or what's rummaging. Mm-hmm. And, of course, Sawyer is like, I'm going to shed some light on this thing. And
fucking
he lights
idiot.
up the whole plane, and we see some glowing eyes, and then run away.
I was like, oh, shit, is that a Tasmanian devil?
Right, I didn't know what it was. But then I remembered, as they said, boars. It's boars.
And I was like, oh, that's kind of boring.
Yeah, I know, right? When you're like, I want dinosaurs. I hope they're velociraptors.
Well, in this case, I thought it was Tasmanian devil.
Right, or Tasmanian devil. The Tasmanian devil, or like just like the actual animal?
The actual animal.
But not the Looney Tune.
Could be. Why
Okay.
not?
Did you ever see the Twilight Zone movie?
No, I don't think so.
All right, I don't want to say anything else because it'll ruin it.
Okay.
So then,
Tasmanian
boom,
devil in it?
maybe.
Oh, that's kind of crazy.
Then boom, we're in the lost title card, and then we end up on a scene where Jack is talking about wanting to burn the remains of the dead people, very coldly too.
Mm-hmm.
He's just like, look.
See, I don't notice his
Anybody's-
breathing.
It's not that bad anymore. It was the first few episodes that were really bad.
I'm more annoyed by his nasally fucking voice.
Oh, that's just his voice. That's just Jack.
That's just...
It's Jack's voice, man.
Yeah, well, it's really annoying.
Oh, poor Jack. Matthew Fox, Jack. Wait, it's Jack Nicholson right there. Jack Nicholson. So he's like...
Here's Johnny.
You got so close to that mic.
Sorry. Dave does that, and it's really scary because he's got
I can see Dave doing that.
Oh, it's
freaking
so
out.
fucking creepy.
He's got the forehead to go with it.
He does,
Yeah.
and the
He goes
eyebrows
full
like they
shining
go
on you.
down, and they do the crazy thing, and it's really
They
creepy.
Grinch out. They Grinch out on you.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
it's terrifying.
Yeah, he says any bodies that we bury will be dug up and eaten, meaning whatever's out there is gonna.
Yeah, like let's
Eat the
clarify,
bodies.
they're not eating them,
I mean, somebody could be hungry
but
enough.
maybe
I
they
guess.
should.
This would be a prime time to go cannibal.
Yeah, they should probably human jerky. I don't know
Could
why
you
my
eat a
voice
human?
cracked there. I mean, if I was desperate enough, eventually, yes.
Could you eat a bug?
If I was desperate enough, eventually, yes. My first thing is like, can I even eat fish? Because I don't eat fish.
Really? You couldn't eat a fish?
Well, again, once I got hungry enough, I'd eat a fucking fish.
You get hungry?
Hungry.
And then you would eat a fish. But you'd have to be like beyond starving to eat a fish.
There would have to be no other options.
What about a crab?
Same. I don't eat any seafood.
They talk about there's sort of like this idea of God and religion that comes up because
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
At some point, I think it's right after they discover that it's boars, Locke says that he thinks it's razorbacks,
right.
which is Sunnydale High's mascot.
Oh, wow, crossover.
Yeah. Too
Yeah.
funny.
Too funny. So yeah, they're sort of like debating like, yeah, but is that even right? I feel like we should give them some sort of memorial or send off sort of thing.
We don't have time to figure out everybody's religion.
Yeah, and Jack's like, we don't have
Jack
time
said.
to talk about everybody's God and all this. It's like, all right, Jack,
I
calm
don't have
down
time
there,
for that.
Doc. You know?
Yeah.
Like, talk about bedside manner, Doc. Kate mentions that Jack's hoping that someone will see the flames, so he wants to sort of burn them at night so that
Yes.
people can see him. So then Kate meets up with Saeed on the beach. He's fiddling with electronics again, as Saeed does.
Mm-hmm.
That's Saeed's jam is electronics. He's creating an antenna of sorts to triangulate the source of the mysterious transmission. The French lady who's
Right,
been
which is
transmitting for
awesome
16.
because that's what I was talking about. Like,
Right.
why aren't they trying to find where that is, where that's coming
That's
from?
in my notes. I wrote, this is what Sammy wanted them to do in the first place.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So, see, you were like, oh, you would make a lot of friends in this place, but
Yeah.
actually I would. Because I'd be like, shut the fuck up, Jack, okay? Listen, this is how it's going to be.
Okay, but see, this is where you lose all your friends again. You gotta bedside manner. You gotta be able to communicate with these people.
Oh, no, I'm the female version of Sawyer.
Yeah, you are. This is why you
But I'm the
hate Sawyer
extreme
so
left.
much.
I'm like extreme pro women to the point where I'm pissing off everybody else.
Right, and he's so pro men, he's pissing all the people
Oh,
off,
yeah,
right?
we'd murder each other.
Yeah.
Or we'd
Yeah.
fall deeply in love and have a really fucked up relationship.
Yep, I'm gonna go with the latter. So Kate meets with Saeed about the electronics,
Sorry,
Appa,
that's Appa.
and
This is shakies.
well, she gets this like little machine that he makes that's gonna help triangulate.
Little machine?
Yeah, exactly. See, and a male made it, so it makes sense. So Sawyer and Hurley are fighting. The next scene, Sawyer calls Jack Metro, which I was like, Where did that come from? I love Sawyer's little
I think I
nicknames
missed
for
that.
everyone. Yeah, it's really quick. It's really quick. And he's like, yeah, whatever, Metro. Like, it was like really quick.
Like metrosexual.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But I was like, he's not really.
Yeah.
He's like a doctor and he breathes a lot, but I didn't get metrosexual out of this guy.
Yeah.
Hurley talks about, we ate all the food, dude. And Saeed was like, everybody calm down. We can find food.
Yeah.
Because everyone
people.
starts to freak out. Right. Yeah, that
It's
should have been their
people.
first thought. It's like, yeah, food is people. And then John Locke turns, and this is probably the best part of the show here. Because we get, okay, you remember Jaws, right?
Yeah, I remember Jaws.
Remember the monologue scene in Jaws when it's Quint and he scrapes his hand on the chalkboard? Do you remember this?
Sure.
And then the camera slowly dollies in on him, and he goes, and he's talking about the shark. And he's like, bad fish. I know how to catch this fish. Oh. You got to do this. You got to do that, right? And the camera just slowly comes in on his face. They totally stole that, and they did that in this episode of Lost.
Oh, I did not
on John
put that
Locke,
together.
because he's talking about boars the whole time.
Yeah.
And how he can get the boars, and he knows his boar trivia. He knows it.
He knows it.
Yeah.
He's not bored.
He's not bored. He's overboard. So I feel like
we're the worst.
people aren't gonna get the same effect without the video on this.
That's why we need to share the videos
too many
too.
Physical bits on the podcast, which we need to cut out. Okay, so nice Jaws homage, and then we
Jaws
homage, and then we see John Locke has with him a whole case of knives. Because first we see his like Bowie knife or whatever. We're like, damn, that's a cool knife.
Wait, have we done a flashback of him yet? Besides the first episode?
No.
Okay.
Nope. I don't think so. So, and then this is where Hurley goes, who is this guy?
Why does he have so many knives?
Yeah. So now we flash back.
Okay.
So now we flash back to John Locke. He's on the phone and he's talking code to somebody on the phone. He's like, yeah, we'll rendezvous at the usual point at 1300 hours. So you're like, what is this guy? Is he some sort of...
Sounds military.
Military, or is he like, CIA, like some sort of like secret guy? Who knows? So then we find out that, boom, he's in a cubicle. And
but he's called
he gets
the Colonel
yelled at.
Or something? Captain?
Yeah,
General?
they call him Colonel. Yeah.
Colonel.
And he gets yelled at by Randy, who's a real asshole of a boss. And he comes by his cubicle, and he's like, you know about these TPS reports? Which is
so
totally...
Office Space.
Yeah, which is totally just peeled right out of Office Space TPS
reports.
reports.
I was like, are TPS reports a thing that happen in an office? Like, yeah, I don't know what those are.
I honestly think it's just an homage to Office Space.
Yeah, which was a movie I didn't like.
Right. It came up in Movie Club.
Yes.
And I think decidedly the males like Office Space and females do not like Office Space. Because my wife hated it.
2 males, 3 females.
Right. And my wife hated it too.
Yeah.
So then we come back to the beach, and Jack and Kate, that's what they're called together. Jake.
Oh. Or Jate.
Or Jate. Jate. Or Cack.
Cack. Maybe let's not call him Cack.
Cack. So Cack are talking on the beach, and they talk about Locke, and she tells Jack about why she wants to go hiking again. It's because she doesn't want to hunt boars. She wants to help Saeed triangulate
boars
this signal.
Are boring.
Boars. And then Michael tries talking to the Korean woman and asking her to watch Walt for him. And Walt's like, I don't need a babysitter. And she speaks some Korean to him, and Walt says, yeah, whatever.
Oh, yeah. So in my head, I'm just imagining she's like, listen up, you little shit. I will break you if you get into trouble on my watch.
Claire and Jack clack.
Clack. Click and clack, the Tappan brothers.
Right.
Don't drive like my brother.
He asks about the baby, and she's like, oh, he's good, thanks. I love Claire. She's so nice. And then...
she's just a sweetheart.
At this moment, Jack is very emotionally unavailable with Claire's nice idea about reading people's names of the deceased.
I don't know why he's such a dick about it.
I don't know, because I think he's somewhat broken. I think he's got some...
Well, yeah, I mean, he's seeing things.
Right, he is seeing things, which we'll get to.
Yeah. But he didn't have to be such a dick about it. He could have been like, yeah, that's a really nice idea. I am doing this thing right now, but I think it would be great if you headed that up. Pro tip, true. Jack.
Yeah.
Bedside manner, plainside manner.
How is he a doctor and not able to communicate with people like this and take their feelings into account? Isn't that part of being a doctor? Well, although I've met some real douche doctors, too.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I felt like this was the first time he was really being a dick. So I kind of thought it was, really weird for his character.
Maybe he was just, emotionally fed up. We've all had those days where we're just, starving and we're just not feeling well and like ourselves.
Yeah.
And we'll snap at
hangry.
people.
I mean, I 100% am like that, which is why I would definitely eat fish quickly because nobody wants to experience me angry.
He wanted some boar meat, and he wasn't getting any boar meat at that point, so he's frustrated.
Yeah.
Okay.
But also, they waited until fucking now to start fishing. Come on. You're going to run out of food.
Right.
What is it, day 7?
Something
day 8,
like that.
20.
But I'm sure,
this is what I'm saying. They need to tell us what day it is.
Well, I think they were all kind of thinking that they were going to be rescued. So they're like, we got enough food out of this plane until we were rescued at least. But rescue ain't coming. Mm-mm. You got to look at the big picture.
But also, doesn't that food need to be refrigerated? It's not refrigerated anymore.
I'm sure a lot of it does, yeah. But like crackers and peanuts and stuff.
Yeah.
That'll
but like
last
you
a
can
while.
get chicken on a plane.
Cordon bleu. Chicken cordon bleu hobby kit.
Cordon bleu.
Cordon bleu. Mm-hmm. As they say in France. Mm-hmm. Boone notices a woman sitting by herself down, down the beach a ways. He talks to Shannon about it, and she's snarky to him because that's what Shannon does.
Shannon a bitch.
Shannon being Shannon. John Locke knows his stuff about boars. He's tracking them. He's got a vest like a pro. Mm-hmm. Right? That's what pros wear.
You know he's a pro when you got a vest.
Yeah. Like all wilderness pros have like a dope vest that they wear. And they throw their knives in it and like little fishing lures in it.
Because it's got like
stuff.
those loops that you can put things.
Yeah, loops. They got loops and
you
pockets
don't even need
upon
a belt.
Pockets. No, because you don't even need pants because you throw whatever you want on your vest.
Yeah.
And that way you can ford the rivers easier too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what are you gonna do when your giblies are when you're running and you don't have any pants and your giblies are going everywhere?
Let them swing. Let them swing. Let them swing and splash. That's what real wilderness folks do. Don't you ever watch Man vs. Wild?
Naked and Afraid.
Oh, right. It's that show.
Naked except for the vest and mildly...
right. Half naked and not afraid.
Mildly
That's
afraid.
John Locke's show. Half naked, not afraid.
The John Locke show.
Yeah. So he obviously knows what's up because he's got a vest. Mm-hmm. Charlie is in the woods, probably doing drugs, right?
Yep.
I think that's what he's doing.
Yes.
And Shannon shows up, and she's all sweet on him. And
well,
she asks
so
him,
her brother's like, bitch, we got to catch some fish now. Like we're not getting.
You give all of these characters a way different persona than what was written.
I mean, that's what he wanted to say.
Okay.
Okay. But he was like, you gotta like get off your ass and like start doing stuff,
Right.
And like
she's
we gotta contribute. We gotta get. And she's like, you don't think I can get fish?
Right. And so she does what she knows she can do, which is manipulate.
Manipulate men.
Because she's
you know what? You know, girls gotta do what a girl's gotta do.
Exactly.
I mean, I would much rather her just ovary up and learn how to fish.
Ovary up, wow. So, yeah, she shows up. She asks Charlie about fishing. Well, first he's like, oh, yeah, you recognize me from Dry Fish.
He's like,
so
I knew
fishing.
this would come up eventually. Oh, Charlie.
Nobody knows him from his band.
He's very Xander-like.
Yeah, that's true. So then he fakes it, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm a fishing fiend.
I learned from my grandfather.
Yeah, England's an island, so I just I throw it in, and fish." So he's sort of off in trying to figure that whole thing out, Jack approaches the woman who's on the beach, which we find out her name is Rose.
Mm-hmm. So it's the black woman that he had been sitting next to, or kind of like across the aisle from on the plane.
Yep.
And she had sort of was like kind of panicking a little bit during the turbulence, and he was like, I'm here, I'll help you through this.
Yes. And she's a bit catatonic. She's not talking. And Jack's trying to just get something out of her. Mm-hmm. Then we cut to Michael and Kate talking, and Michael mentions that Walt's mom has passed away only 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of tragic and sad. Poor Walt.
It's a lot.
That is a lot
for a little kid.
Yeah, lose your mom, and then you crash in a plane, and then you're living on an island with no food, and you lose your dog, and
yeah, it's a lot. And living with your dad, who seems like he probably wasn't around prior to
and
this.
He doesn't quite know you that well.
Yeah,
very tough on Walt. I feel like he's handling it quite well given the circumstances.
I think so too.
So they come across their boars that they're hunting for in the grass. Locke's scar on his eye is pretty badass.
Oh yeah, it's 100% badass.
I feel like that would be a cool tattoo to get.
Yeah.
Like just
I feel like it's one of those things that like a lot of villains / badasses have.
Yeah.
Where you've got like this, mark above your eye and below your eye.
Pretty cool. Mm-hmm. But it seems like his eyeball is unscathed.
Yeah.
They come across the boars. Michael gets attacked by a boar. John Locke falls over. And then he's laying on the ground and he looks at his feet, which is something he continues to do throughout this whole episode. Mm-hmm. He's looking at his feet, and we get another flashback.
Yeah.
And this is where it's revealed that he's sort of a nerd gamer. And he's got army men on a board. Mm-hmm. And he's being called Colonel again, and he's playing with it looks like coworker or something. Mm-hmm. They're playing in the break room or something.
Yeah.
His boss Randy shows up.
Fucking Randy.
And he questions him about his Walkabout pamphlet, and then his friend who he's playing with is like, "Did you tell Helen yet?" And then his boss is like, "What are you doing? You gotta wake up, man. You can't do any of that stuff. Look at you."
Yeah. Well, so we should just say, so this was the first time I didn't really know what, a walkabout was.
Walkabout.
But, so it's basically a spiritual journey to connect with nature.
Yes.
And so when they revealed that about Locke, I was like, okay, yeah. Locke, I can get down with that.
Is he growing on you?
Now he's growing on me.
Oh.
Because
you thought, just last episode, you thought he was whittling bodies.
Right. Now I'm like, oh, he wants to go on a spiritual journey to connect with nature. You're probably not a serial killer. If you're if you're trying to connect with nature so that you can murder people in the woods, that's a different story.
What's up with all the knives? Because wilderness folk?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta survive.
Maybe. So his boss questions him about that, and
not about the
makes
knives,
him feel bad.
about the walkabout.
Not about the knives, about the walkabout.
He doesn't have the knives in that scene, in the flashback scene.
Also, Locke, you got to go to HR at that point. I mean, he's crossed the line, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So,
but
Locke,
not to be sexist, but men are less likely to report things to HR.
That's not sexist. I think that's just a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. Locke only responds with a name, Norman Croucher. He keeps saying Norman Croucher. And then he explains he was a double amputee, no legs, but he climbed Mount Everest because it was his destiny.
Right. And
then
Randy's like, destiny.
He's like, whatever, man. Go back to your cubicle. And then, boom, we're back on
he's
the beach.
like, you can't tell me what I can and can't do, or something like that.
Right.
Locke says
and we're back in the jungle. And then he calls Kate Helen by accident. She's like, who's Helen? And John decides that he's going to go after the boar. And he's like, I'm fine. I can do this. He said, don't tell me what I can't do.
Mm-hmm. Which, again, that's another thing that I resonated with, because I was like, yeah.
That's what I thought. I was like, this is totally what's going to win Sammy over.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's Sammy's fighting spirit right there. It's like, don't tell me I can't do something. And I'll tell you what, I'm sort of the same way.
Yeah.
But I'm quieter about it.
That's why we're kindred spirits.
I won't tell you that I can do it. I won't fight you on it in the moment, but what I will do is I'll prove you wrong.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do. Well, because you don't want to be like, fuck you, watch me, and then fail.
And then not do it. Yeah, I'm like, okay, he's right.
Yeah, so
but
I'm
if
just
I do it,
okay.
I'm just like, yeah,
Okay,
see this?
just
Watch
wait.
what happens. Watch what happens.
Just you wait.
Yeah, don't tell me what I can't do. Charlie and Hurley are fishing. It's obviously that Hurley is like trying to help Charlie here. Hurley gets frustrated. Charlie tries to spear the fish. They're failing pretty hard in catching the fish.
Yeah, so as I was watching this, watching Hurley like flip the fuck out, like stab the water a bunch of times, I was like, I think maybe I'm a little bit Hurley. Because like, I would definitely do that.
Again.
And him, when he like passed out, when Jack was working on
surgery.
Yeah, when he was doing surgery on the Marshall /
right. That's
bounty
me.
hunter guy.
I'm always passing
Oh,
out.
me too. Well, you know, like how I passed out when Dave got his wisdom teeth removed, and they like took the gauze out of his mouth, and I was like, passed out. I even said, I was looking, and I was like, I'm either gonna vomit or pass out.
Yeah.
And then boom, passed out.
Well, you get tunnel vision and you feel like
like everything is like closing, and I'm like, this is
happening.
Passing out. Passing out. Gone.
Passing out. Looking at the floor, looking at it. So they're failing pretty hard.
Yep.
Claire talks to Saeed. Clyde?
I don't think they're going to be a thing.
I got to stop doing that.
Yeah,
she gives him a piece of mail or something. It's like an envelope with some pictures in it.
Yeah.
Pictures of a girl, some lady. And I thought it was funny how one picture was like a medium shot, and then the next one was like a perfectly portrait close-up shot.
Like a glamour shot?
Yeah, I'm like, nobody ever takes photos of their friends that close-up.
Unless you go for glamour shots.
That's true. Unless you hire a photographer in wherever he's from.
No, do you know about glamour shots?
No, what's glamour shots?
This was a thing in the 90s where you could go to like, I don't know if it was actually you had to go to a place called Glamour Shots, or like you could go to JCPenney and get the glamour shot filter. I don't know what it was. But
like where I went for my senior photo, which we covered last episode.
You should have gotten glamour shots. No, but it was like this like thing where you'd put like they do your hair. So it probably wasn't JCPenney. I think it was like its own photo studio.
This is ringing a bell.
And they have like soft like lighting, and
this is totally what I should have done.
My mom and older sister got them done. And I still remember, like, I don't remember what my mom's looked like, but I still remember my sister's, and it's just, like, so ridiculous.
So it cuts back to Jack, and he's talking to Rose, and finally she speaks up, and she starts talking about Bernard, her husband.
Yeah.
And she tells a story about how his fingers would swell up when they fly, and she has this wedding ring around her neck because that's what they would do when they would fly places.
Yeah, she'd wear it as a necklace.
Yeah, such a great character moment. They're so good at writing characters in this show.
And that's such a nice, like, I don't know, it's just such a sweet thing. Like a nice, like, husband and wife thing.
Right. He diagnoses her with post-traumatic shock. Yeah, way to go, Jack. It's like, hold on, let me add to the conversation. You have post-traumatic stress here.
Oh, sorry,
shock.
Jack. I thought you were fucking surgeon, not a psychologist.
Yeah, well, apparently
what kind of doctor is he? Because
he's a Swiss Army knife of doctors. He does a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
He's got a spoon in there and a knife and a saw. He says, she says to him, "You have a nice way about you," and I'm like, really? Because he just said that you have.
He just was like, "Yeah, bitch, you crazy."
Yeah, okay, whatever. She tells him that he's got a nice way about him. Good soul, patient, caring. I suppose that's why you became a doctor. And then Jack mentions, well, I was kind of born into it. It's just a family business.
Yeah.
John Locke is talking on the phone with a Helen. So now this is a flashback.
Yep.
He's on his bed. He's talking to the Helen. And he tells her how he told Randy off, and that how he's proud of it, and that he's flying to Australia.
And he's going on the Walkabout.
He has 2 tickets, so he asked her to go with him.
Yeah.
And we find out they've been talking for 8 months, and that she calls him a customer.
Yeah, she's like, I can't meet customers.
Yeah, and we find out that she's charging him $89.99 an hour to talk.
Oh,
so she's got to be
sad.
She's got to be a sex line operator.
Yeah, or Miss Cleo.
or a Miss Cleo type. Yeah. Yeah, so we find out that, and then, he gets kind of upset, because he thought that they sort of had a thing, which is, so sad.
I know. I was like,
rough.
this is so gross, but it's also really just sad. But
also, John Locke, though, you don't call a sex line operator looking for love.
Well, okay, it could be like a companionship line. Because,
really?
My first thought was,
I've never heard of these.
I don't know. My first thought was, phone sex, too, but, there wasn't anything sexual being exchanged, but that doesn't necessarily mean...
I think that's up to the customer,
yeah,
though. I'm sure they
the
can call
client.
and just be like, I want peanut butter on my face. And they're like, sure, yeah, Jiff, Skippy, whatever you want, as long as I get $89.99 an hour.
Oh, yeah. Do you want... crunchy or smooth?
Yeah. How about some jelly, too? You want some of that? Skippy? What's the marshmallow stuff called?
Fluff.
Yeah, fluff or nutter on your ears. Whatever.
On your ears?
I don't know. I don't know what these kinky peanut butter people are into. I don't know. Okay, so we're back in the jungle woods, and Kate climbs a tree with her electronic doodad, and they hear some crashing in the woods. And I think she breaks her doodad at this point.
She drops it.
She drops it. Way to go, Kate.
Whoops.
Locke hears and sees something in the woods because he's separated from the group at this point.
Because he's like, I'm going to go get the boar. And they're like,
right, I'm gonna get the boar. Yeah. And
well, did you say that
woods.
What's his name got wounded? I don't know if you said that.
Oh, Michael?
Michael got wounded.
Michael got wounded by the boar.
Not fatally, but...
No, you got a little boo-boo, though.
A little boo-boo.
In his leg. So Locke, obviously, it looks like he sees something. Like, the POV shots make you feel like he's looking directly at it. Michael arrives back on the beach, and he's a little messed up. Saeed, another great Saeed line. He sees Kate, and he goes, the mighty huntress returns. What's for dinner? And then she's just
Sawyer,
like, not
Saeed.
Sawyer, right, not Saeed. Sawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she just walks away.
Oh,
Sawyer,
she just needs to fucking punch him in the face. Somebody just needs to set him straight.
Yeah, I feel like people keep fighting with him, but, Sawyer's going to be Sawyer.
Yeah.
That's just who he is, So Shannon is mad that they didn't bring back any food at this point because they went on a hunt. They should have brought back boar or food. They sort of failed and didn't come back with anything, and they lost John Locke, presumably. Charlie then comes out of nowhere, bounding with a fish. Charlie, he's like, I got a fish for you.
That's a big fish.
Yeah, it was a nice plump fish. So Boone fights with her for using Charlie. He calls her out.
Yeah,
and Charlie
just looks so sad.
He's just like, I thought she was gonna like me, but I guess not. Rose believes her husband is not dead. She says, she's like, oh, my husband's not dead. And then Jack says,
because he's like, he was in the tail. And she's like, everybody in the tail was killed. And she says, well, that's probably what they think too.
Right.
So I was like, okay, could be delusional, but
maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
Could be right.
I mean, you gotta have hope, right?
Gotta have hope.
That's what Saeed said.
Yeah.
Jack sees a man in a suit.
Yeah,
on the far
what the
edge
fuck?
of the beach. What's that all about?
What's that all about? My first thought was that he's seeing people that he didn't save, whether it's from the plane crash or just his work in general. I don't know. That's just like the first thing that popped into my head.
So do you think it's a delusion or do you think it's like an apparition? Or is it an actual person?
I think it's a delusion.
Interesting.
Right now, that's my theory.
Okay. Kate tells Saeed that the triangulation didn't work out. He's, he gets a little discouraged by that.
Well, she's also like, sorry, I broke your thing, man. And he's
should have
like,
got
cool.
The insurance.
Cool, I guess
and then
I'll
she
just
calls
try
him Radio
building
Shack.
this
She's like, right, Radio Shack? No, she didn't say that.
No,
I made that up.
I'm like, she didn't say that. I think that's something Sawyer would say.
Oh, that is a Sawyerism.
But he would also make it
Hey,
racist.
Radio Shack, what you making there? Jack talks to Kate, and he checks her face immediately. She like walks up to him, and he's like, "Oh, what's wrong with your face?" He like grabs right a hold of her head. He's like, "Let me check that out." It's like, "All right, Doc, calm down. How about asking for a little? May I touch your face?"
Yeah, personal space here.
Right? Yeah.
Not everybody's your patient, Jack.
Right? Yeah, they didn't sign the waiver on the beach.
Stop
Jack.
breathing in my face, Jack.
Watch Matthew Fox actually listen to this show, and he's like, I wonder what they're saying about me and my performance.
I'm
and
sure
then we're just
he's
talking
super
about
sweet in
how
real
he
life.
breathes so hard.
It's just, I mean, he knows by now about the hard breathing, I'm sure. That was a thing
knows.
way before us.
He's aware.
For me, I don't even notice that. I don't know if it gets worse as it goes on. I just notice his nasally voice. But you know what?
I think it comes and
I don't
goes.
love the sound of my voice either, so it's cool, man.
Me neither.
We're good.
We're never going to listen to this podcast. Kate tells Jack, cack together.
No,
talk.
not cack.
Kate tells Jack that Locke's gone. She's like, that thing was moving in his direction. That thing, whatever this thing is.
You doing that thing you do.
Jack chases the man that he sees because he sees him again into the woods. And he meets up with Bloody Locke, who pops out of the jungle, who has successfely hunted a war.
So the last time we see Locke, he is looking up. Well, we're looking down at him from the perspective of whatever this
is.
dinosaur thing is.
Right.
And
Dino
he's just
type.
looking at it. He's not fucking running.
He's looking at it.
He's got to
like,
look at it.
That?
So I'm kind of like, did he get possessed by it? And it's taken over his body?
Oh, prediction?
Did he just stare it down in the same way that,
he monologued it to death?
Miss French stared down, Fork Guy, and Fork Guy is like, okay. And so, Locke stares down the dinosaur thing, and the dinosaur thing is like, all right, we cool.
He's a dinosaur whisperer.
I'm going to get these 6 other Razorbacks. You can have one. We cool.
No, Dinersaur.
Dinosaur.
The Dinosaur.
Oh my God.
Dinosaur.
Why don't we have a diner called Dinersaur?
Dinosaur.
Dude.
2 for 1 special, Dinosaur.
And you can have the Dino-Nuggets. Chicken nuggets.
Diner-Nuggets.
No, but it's called Dinosaur. Dinersaur, but you have dinosaur chicken nuggets at the diner.
Right.
Among other things.
We got to brand them, though, so everything's diner.
Okay. No one can take that idea. That's ours.
Yeah.
Copyright,
TM.
trademark.
Yep.
Bohan Jensen, 2020.
Mm-hmm. That's ours. Jack chases the man into the woods, and he meets up with Bloody Locke, who has a boar. Mm-hmm. And then this sort of kicks off their night memorial service.
Yes.
Which, to me, immediately seemed very Survivor-esque.
Yeah,
which is the show you always mixed up. So if you saw a promo about this episode, you'd be like, oh, that's totally Survivor.
I wonder who got voted off the island.
They got torches up and stuff, and there's stuff burning in the background. They're on the beach, and it looks like a voting off ceremony is what it looks like.
What was the thing that they said in Survivor when you got voted off? Oh, you've been voted off the island. But they put out the torch.
Right. Your torch has been snuffed out. I don't know. No.
I think they just say you've been voted off the island.
That sounds about right. So they have the memorial service.
Well, one thing I thought was interesting about this scene is we start to see, so I forget how many people they said survived, but it was 30 something, and we've only encountered and gotten to know a few, a dozen maybe.
Right.
So in the background, but I also feel like we haven't even seen any of these other people at all until this moment, and then suddenly they're in the background, and you can see people arguing and carrying on conversations, and I'm like, what the fuck?
So Michael compliments Locke on killing the boar.
Yeah, that was
nice.
He's
like, hey, that was pretty cool, Yeah. And then he asks about the monster. He's like, hey, you got to look at it, right? And Locke's like, no, I didn't.
Which is a lie.
Is it?
I mean, they were staring at each other.
Because it really looked like he was looking at it, yeah.
He was looking at it.
Yep. He was
Unless it
looking
was
at
invisible, in which case he's not lying.
Right. It could be a cloak of invisibility thing or something.
That's got to be a big ass cloak.
If it's a Dinersaur.
Dinosaur.
So then we get a final flashback of John Locke talking to an Australian tour guide of sorts. And I'm pretty sure he's got a vest on. That's how we know he's for real. And he talks to John about his condition that he's had for 4 years.
Right. And he's like, you didn't tell us about this. And John's like, I've been fine. I can do this.
Right. And he's like, you misrepresented yourself. And Locke gets real mad. And he said, I've been preparing for this for years. This is my destiny. You can't tell me what to do. Again. For the third time this show, I think.
Locke.
Yeah. This is the reveal that we finally get, where we see that Locke is in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Finally. This is where we finally see what the condition is.
Yes. So they take off. There's like a tour bus or something.
Right.
That
They
takes
leave
off,
him. Right.
And he gets left behind.
He gets left behind. Very upset. So then we cut back to the beach, and this is after the crash again.
Right.
And we see when Locke stands up for the first time after the crash.
Yeah, he's like wiggling his feet at first, his toes, and then he stands up.
And this is a great moment because, again, music, it's getting me. It's the strings are swelling at this point, and the sound is chaotic. Great moment. I'm a sucker for this kind of stuff, but it's a magical moment when Locke stands up because now we finally know his story.
Right.
We know why he was smiling and happy after this crash because finally his destiny is coming true.
Right. And he had told Walt that like this was a miracle.
This was a miracle what happened here.
Yeah, and it was for him because he regained the use of his legs.
Right.
We don't know what exactly happened to him before.
Right.
But
How? Yeah.
Yeah.
How would you regain your legs back?
So the fact that he regained the use of his legs and like took down the Razorback.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Tabula rasa at the end of this episode, right? Clean slate for John Locke.
But that was
Tabula
last
rasa.
episode.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense more for last episode.
Yeah.
I don't think it should be titled this one, but it still applies.
Walkabout.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling definitely more positive towards him now.
All right.
I don't think he's going to whittle bodies.
I mean, there's still time.
There is still time.
He does have I bet when you saw the knives, you're like, oh, definitely whittling bodies at the beginning of this episode.
Maybe. It did remind me of Dexter a bit.
Right. But we had already had a flashback at that point.
Yeah,
maybe.
we had already had a flashback. So
yeah, that's the episode. That's Lost.
That's the episode.
Episode 4.
I will say, because this and I also thought it was really nice the way that it ended with Locke looking at the wheelchair, which we hadn't seen before. Or maybe we did and just never picked up on it. But he kind of like looks at the wheelchair and then sort of like smiles like, I don't need that anymore. Because it ends looking on him, that kind of kills my theory going forward.
The next episode's about the wheelchair and where the wheelchair started out.
Hello,
Flashback.
darkness, my old friend. It's the wheelchair's experience of Locke getting better and no longer being needed anymore.
It goes way, way back, and it's the wheelchair being built in the factory in China. Mm-hmm. They're putting it together, right? And then we see it like on the freight train, like going to the next location. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's a long journey for the wheelchair, and it's very, very interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Good.
Cool.
That was good.
Good. That was good. All right. Predictions or favorite moments?
I think like I said, my favorite moment of Buffy is a toss-up between the interaction. They're both interactions with Giles. The one where Buffy's like, I'm going to figure this out. And Giles is like, what are you going to do? And she goes, my homework. And then the thing about the coroner's office when Giles is like, wasn't here, didn't see it, couldn't have stopped you.
Yeah, that was good.
What was your favorite moment of Buffy?
I like this episode a lot. My favorite moment is definitely when Xander thinks he's going to get lucky with Miss French, and then it smash cuts to him doing a riff on a guitar. Favorite moment.
Yeah.
That was funny. I was like, boy, that's so outlandish and ridiculous that they would even put that in this show.
But also
it totally
something
works.
like you could totally connect to, probably especially as a guy.
Yeah, and I feel like
because that was, like you're saying, the pinnacle of cool, you know?
That was the apex of cool
Yeah.
in the 90s. It was a rocking out solo guitar riff. And then favorite moment in Lost, what's yours?
Definitely just Locke regaining his legs, regaining the use of his legs, and capturing the Razorback. Just like the arc that we see of his character taking in this one episode. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like we had a flashback of Kate in the last episode, but we still don't know enough of her backstory. Like, this has really already, like, we can certainly learn more about Locke, but this has really just, like, fleshed out his character so much more.
It gave us a lot. Yeah, it gave us a lot. Where Kate was definitely more of a mystery still, even at the end.
Yeah. So it definitely made me feel very differently about him by the end of this episode. What about you?
I love the moment at the end when the music is swelling and he's standing up, and just these endings of these episodes, man, they're really good. They're getting me. They're so
funny.
Hollywood emotional, and I love them.
Oh my God. Such a sucker.
I know. I can't help it.
I mean, I usually am too. I don't know.
I think I get lost. I get lost.
Get lost
I get
in
lost
the emotion.
in the music and the emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a fiddle that J.J. Abrams just plays.
But do you feel like the first time you watched this, you were that emotional? Or do you feel like you're more emotional now because you know more about the characters?
I think I'm more emotional now because of that reason, but also probably because I'm older now. And when I first saw this, I was early 20s, and I was a bit dead inside, as we all are in our early 20s.
Yeah.
Whereas now,
and you didn't
like,
have children.
I didn't have children, and I didn't have the life experiences that I have now. So I think there's a lot more to use and reflect upon with your own daily life, which is, I think this is what's great about revisiting a lot of art. This is why I collect movies, because movies that I love to revisit, and I'll usually have different experiences with them, like years on.
Yeah.
And sometimes it'll be even like, I just watched it last year and I had an experience with it, and then this year I watched it and I saw it a whole different way. So I think this is what's great about rewatching all of this media and all of this art, and what's great about streaming, and what's great about rewatching, anything that was made years ago, because you can reflect on it differently, not only with your own experiences in your life, but also with the world around us and how the world's changed and how we can reflect on that.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely been movies that have come up in movie club that I felt that way about. I mean, like, The Goonies is the example I think of first. And I don't know that I necessarily feel super differently about it, but it's just that it had such a great impact on my childhood. Maybe it didn't really have an impact, but just like the sense of adventure and like of
it spoke to you more.
Kids like being able to do anything and like band together to like save their community, that like watching it now, I just felt that nostalgia very strongly.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen next on Buffy?
Predictions. Why don't you give me your Lost predictions? Because I'm going to have to think of a Buffy prediction.
Did you not write them down?
I have them somewhere
Patrick.
Here. Let me just go through my notes real quick. Still going through them. There's so many notes.
Do you want me to recap the episode again?
No. I have my recap right in front of me.
Yeah, I can hear you scrolling to
all
them.
of my notes.
Your scroll is way louder than Appa's snore.
Okay. What's your prediction for Lost?
I really don't know. Like, we're definitely going to get the backstory of someone else. Maybe Rose at this point. I don't think it's the wheelchair, but that is cute. I just like think of that as like a Pixar short, which would, make you cry for the wheelchair, even though it's
Did you ever see my shopping cart movie that I made?
I don't think so.
Oh, fine.
Is it going to be so sad?
I can show it to you.
Yeah, you should.
But first, let's get through predictions.
So I don't know. It could be potentially Rose. we're going to get maybe her backstory. I don't know. That's just what I thought of. I do still think it's some kind of dinosaur hybrid demon, and maybe it's possessing Locke.
Dinersaur demon?
Dinersaur. I do, again, still think that Kate is some sort of femme fatale.
Yeah.
But we're probably not going to learn more about her next episode, because I just feel like there's so many other characters that we need to get through before we come back to Kate.
All right. I think the eggs will come back to play again, but maybe not even in this season. Maybe not for like another season or two. Mm-hmm. As well as like the last episode with Amy's mom, who got stuck in the trophy.
Yeah.
She'll come back eventually, but I think it's going to be in like a season or two. Like, I don't think they would bring her back in the same season. That seems silly to me.
So you don't think she's going to mate with the master and have a love child then?
Not in this season.
Okay.
2 or 3 seasons later, maybe. I mean, they're totally a match made in heaven. Okay, next episode will definitely not be Monster of the Week episode. I mean, we got 2 in a row, and now we're going to Big Bad.
Big Bad.
We're definitely going to Big Bad.
Not Big Bug. Bug
Not
Bad.
Big Bad episode, okay?
Okay.
Xander's going to keep getting friend-zoned by Buffy. Xander. That's something that's never going to end. I'm going to go 3 seasons before they, like, accidentally kiss or something, or, like, something awkward happens and they kiss. Something like that, but nothing's going to really ever work out with them romantically.
You're very specific.
Yeah, I like to be specific.
You're being way more brave than I am. But I also, like, again, there's just so many characters in Lost, it's hard to really predict much.
Yeah. Police will disappear for a while. We won't see Police again for a good 7 or 8 episodes. The real Mrs. French will make a comeback at some point.
The old lady?
The old lady. She'll come back and be like, "Hello, dearies. I missed you. I remember when you showed up to my house that one night.
I baked you cookies.
I baked you cookies and found you.
But they're filled
and
with
now I'm a
people
demon."
parts.
Yeah. There's going to be some dark turn with her. Okay, those are my very specific predictions.
Those are super specific.
Yes.
I feel like mine have gotten more general and yours have gotten more specific.
Yeah, I think it's more fun when they're specific.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I think we did it.
Yeah. What else? Anything else that you're reading, watching, or listening to?
A movie called City of God this week for Movie Club, as did you.
We didn't talk about that. I was kind of upset because I actually watched it on time.
Oh, we watched Lovebirds last night with Kumail Nanjiani. Just really good. You got to see it. It's so funny.
You got to see Wine Country.
And I'll see Wine Country. So if you watch Lovebirds, I'll watch Wine Country.
Okay.
And we'll report back.
Yes.
Cool. All right, this is fun.
Are you going to ask me what I... No. It's just like Dave. Yeah, like, I feel like I have to sometimes... Like, I'm always like, how was your day? And then he'll get finished, and then I'm waiting.
This is every episode. This is what happens. Every single episode, I always talk about what I looked at, and then I always try to wrap up before you can talk about yours. Okay, what'd you look at?
So Dave and I are still reading the Sarah J. Maas A Court of Thorn and Roses series.
Oh, I told Amy to get a hold of that.
Yeah. Has she read it at all, or?
I think, no, she looked it up, and I don't know if she made any actions on
okay. Made any actions. So we're reading the second book in the series, and...
Cool.
Yeah. Watching, I finished RuPaul's Drag Race because they only have 6 seasons on Hulu, and my life feels empty.
But my emails will be less sassy, so we might get more done.
Definitely, your emails and texts from me will be less sassy. Well, thanks for listening.
Thanks, everyone, for listening.
And we'll
see you next time.
See you next time.
You can listen, subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher. And didn't we just get added to something else? Google something?
Yeah, Google Podcasts. If you are on an Android phone and you like using the Google Podcasts app, we are now in that app.
Rate us 5 stars if you have the time. That helps us get noticed and people will see that we have 5 stars and we are a quality podcast, as long as Sammy remembers to record on the right microphone.
Oh, wow. That's nice, Pat. It's a low blow.
Just kidding. It's always great, even when you record on the wrong microphone.
So you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at KickstreamPod, and send emails, but no spoilers, to kickstreampod@gmail.com. And also, show notes for every episode are available at our website, kickingstreaming.com. And I just wanted to shout those out really quickly because sometimes we talk about weird or obscure things, like the Buffy board game or Xbox games. And if you're like, what is she talking about? And maybe semi-interested in looking those things up, I do link to those, and usually any books that we might be talking about in the show notes. So if you're ever curious, you can get more information at kickingstreaming.com. Cool.
And don't forget,
streaming is always better. We should say it together.
I don't like saying it together. All right, fine, let's try it.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Streaming
is better with friends. See, it doesn't work.
You're the worst. Don't forget,
streaming's better with friends.
Streaming is better with friends unless it's Patrick.
Especially with Patrick.
1, 2, 3. Streaming is better with friends. Well, you know what? You can just match this up because you edit them anyway.
Yeah, well, I'll try my best. See you next week.